Drop the brace.
What's up guys, Bob here from FallSRS, and today I'm doing my second episode of my Cleaning House Redux series, which involves me getting every single PVM drop that I can imagine, and pretty much keeping them in my bank as long as possible. So, for those of you who haven't seen the series before, I'd recommend checking out episode 1 of the Redeux, because there's been a lot more PVM additions since my actual beginning series. And I also have a link to the Google Doc, which lists every single drop that I am going for currently, and it's very helpful if you learn exactly what I'm going to do before you watch this video. Now, moving on to the drops today, I have 10 drops again, and I'm going to have a kind of a theme until I run out of barrows and next drops, and I think this pretty much finishes up my next drops for this week, so it'll be a little bit different next week, but I have 4 barrows, 2 necks, and then 2 God Wars dungeon drops as I normally do, and then 2 wildcard drops, which is pretty much any boss that I have drops from, and feel like they are worth showing in this video. So to kick it off, I started off at barrows, and I wound up getting a Jothin's Helm, and it was not a repeat, which is always nice. This is pretty early on in my barrowing, I believe. It's one of the first items I got, and I actually, spoiler alert, haven't gotten one since, so I guess it's not too bad. It's worth a decent amount, and I can't complain about items that aren't repeats. So for the second item, it's another item that I haven't actually gotten a repeat of, and that is DH legs, and again, can't really complain. It's a nice chunk of change. Most barrows items in this game are actually worth a lot, so I can't really argue with getting any item. The only ones I would really complain about are any accuracy item, because nobody wants them, but that's just me. So for the third barrows drop is actually a drop that is very, very worthwhile, and it's from the Carroll family, and it is the main hand pistol crossbow, which was actually added after I started my original series, and I got one of them relatively early on, and they're worth about 5 mil right now, so it is damn nice to have one of them, and it definitely adds to my tab, which, by the way, I'm not going to show until I catch up, which might not be for a while, but that's besides the point. So, moving on to the final barrows item before I move on to next. And for the final barrows item, I got an accuracy war mace, which is terrible. I believe it's like 132k price check, and I'm pretty sure it sells for way less than that in GE, which is unfortunate. Most accuracy items do. I know the robe skirt's like 30, and no, I believe one of my friends got one and sold it for 15k or something, and its price check is like 328. And yeah, nobody likes accuracy. I just can't wait to be done with him, and I'm relatively close to it actually, but it's not terrible. I can get over it. Now, moving on to the more exciting drops is the next drops, and most people tend to like these the best because usually they're worth the most. And the first item that I got is a pair of Pernix boots, and they are worth. There's a funny story behind this actually. I was doing a duo with Joran, and we got the boots, and I went to sell them in the GE, and I put them in for 1 GP, and they didn't sell. So I was really confused, so I took them out and put them in for like 8 mil, and they sold for 10.7, which was really confusing, but I guess I sold them, and that led to one of my friends trying to buy them for 1 mil and 1 GP, and actually bought a pair and made 7 mil on it, so I guess it helped somebody out, and it turned out pretty good. 5 mil split, not too bad. And for the second drop, I was actually with Kevin, and prior to this trip, he died 3 times in 3 next duos, so this was a really nice surprise and a really nice split. We got a Virtus Wand duo, which was at the time 138 mil, so we got a 69 mil split, and that's actually the highest split I've gotten from next so far, and I believe it's going to be the biggest one because I think the wand went down and Torval Plate has crashed so much over the last couple weeks because of divination and everything else coming out. Now moving on to a little bit lower drops, but still pretty damn hard to come by. I actually went to Calfay Queen, and it was a funny story behind this because I was not planning on going to it, but I used a website called random.org to randomize like my list for PVM drops, and it picked Calfay Queen. So I was in a Skype call at the time, and I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to Calfay Queen, and I better get a chain." And well, lo and behold, the first kill and the only kill of the trip it turned out to be was a chain. So I'm so happy that I have one of the harder drops out of the way now. Calfite Queen is such a bitch to kill because it has so much more HP than most of the God Wars, actually all of the God Wars Dungeon bosses, barring next, and it has two phases which have more HP than everything but Armadillo, I'm pretty sure. So it's not fun at all to kill, and you have the hybrid, which is even more annoying. And for the second wild card drop of this episode, I went to TDs, and this was actually, I think, my second or third trip to TDs. And they're a lot easier than they were pre-OC, but they kind of hit a lot harder. But towards the end of the trip, actually really close to the end of the trip, I actually got a pair of D-limbs, which are really nice because they were about 21.9 mil, I believe. And yeah, I'm probably going to save them until I get the signets for the Ascension pieces, and I'll just make my own crossbow that way. But we'll see. I still haven't decided what I'm doing with the Ascension members. Now for the God Wars dungeon parts, I actually had a really nice Bandos trip, but the first drop isn't from the same trip. It was actually with the Bandos chestplate that I got in the previous episode. I I got a Bandos hilt, which was nice, and then I actually accidentally picked up the book as well, which means that I will not know if I got a drop unless I look at the ground and I see it, because the book's a nice like marker to tell if you got a drop or not. But I won't be doing that on any God Wars bosses now because I picked up all of them, which is kind of annoying, but I guess I can live with it. Now on to the final drop of this episode, and it's also another Bandos item, and this was part of my really good trip that I had later in the week after the Bandos hilt, and I actually got a pair of Bandos gloves, which are about 2.5 mil, and they're actually the best melee gloves in the game, damage-wise. Well, apart from Torva, I should say, but relatively cheap melee pair because pneumatics are just not worth it. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. I will see you next time in the next episode, and until then, make sure to keep a track on my A log, and you can see what I've been doing lately. Bye.